As always, the first step of Zentangle is gratitude, and like I said earlier, I'm very grateful to be here with all of you and to have the chance to share. Grateful to have some quiet time in my life, and we'll get started. I'm using a 3.5-inch square Zentangle tile. You can use whatever paper you may have at home. I'm also using a pencil and a tortillon or rolled paper or blender or anything else, or you can just skip this blending part. I'll be using either my micron pen or my Pigma pen. They have the same ink, kind of a felt tip. They're archival ink that's waterproof, so if I decide I want to put some watercolor over the top of something later, I can. This is a kind of a heavy paper, kind of like a watercolor paper. It's actually an Italian made. The first step in the drawing part, which is actually the second step of the Zentangle method, is to put anchor dots in each corner. When you do your own, you can do yours as lightly as you want to be able to see them. I'm doing mine a little bit darker to make sure on the camera that it shows up. And then I'm going to do my border line where I'm going to connect my dots along the edge. And again, this can be straight, it can have a little wiggle to it. I'm drawing mine kind of dark so that everyone can see it. So now I have my border on there. Now because of, I want to put a heart as kind of an empty space, or to be able to do my tangles around my heart this time, I'm just going to pick a spot. Yours can be anywhere. I'm going to pick a spot and put a heart shape in there like that. The next thing I'm going to do is kind of draw a few wiggly lines that I'm going to then decorate later on with some of my flux. I'm going to put one down here under my heart. I'm going to put another one that comes from this side and kind of goes over the top and near and over that side. I think that'll do for now. So the first tangle we're going to do today, I'll put it in the chat box, is called Munchin. And Munchin actually starts with dots, and then we expand on those dots. I'm going to do Munchin around the heart, and often Munchin is just kind of done in a random space, but today we're going to do it around the heart. So I'm going to start by putting a dot right in the top of the heart, and then I'm going to space some dots around this line. Often when you do Munchin, it's random dots, but we're going to do them in a particular shape today. Now I'm going to work with the first set of dots right here, and I'm going to hook those two together and then hook the other two together on the other side of the V, and then make that V into a triangle. So now I'm going to pick one of these corners of my triangle, and I'm going to fan lines out to the opposite side. So I'm going to pick this corner and I'm going to fan lines out over there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working my way around this side. So I'm going to connect that tip to the next dot. And then I'm going to put a dot out here outside the edge to make the other point of my triangle. And then I'm going to connect those lines. So now I have another triangle to work in. And I don't have a particular plan. I'm just going to pick one of my corners and I'm going to draw some fan lines out from there again. Now in traditional Munchin, you keep connecting these and make more triangles. But I've decided I wanted to do a variation on Munchin for this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from this top corner here. Start over here, I'll show you a little bit better. I'm going to start from this top corner, but I'm going to stop a little bit short of the tip and draw my other triangle a little bit short. And then I will pick one of these three corners to do the fanning out as I did before. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do these series of flux ribbons. So we're going to work on this one that kind of spins around and comes down. I'm going to start from one side or the other. You can pick whichever side you want. I'm going to start right there and I'm going to draw kind of a leaf shape that comes back. And then I'm going to do one going the other way. They're all going to come off that pencil line right there. I'm going to get out here to this end and I'm just going to put one right in the middle there. So I'm going to go back into each of these leaves and put like a center vein. I kind of start with a little bit of a heavy hand and then flick it up like an eyelash. Now, something that I particularly enjoy with flux is adding a little bit of orbs to it, like dewdrops or small buds. So I just kind of look at this and decide where an orb might fit nicely, and then kind of just fill in that little space in between. Here's a little tiny space between my flux leaves. I'm going to kind of fill that in with ink. So I'm also going to bring some flux down here and maybe bring it up to kind of like curved from that side over to here. So the next one is this one here that has these kind of stripy lines. We're going to put that in a few places, just kind of balance it out and add some interest. I like it kind of in this corner here. I'm going to start that by putting a diagonal line from the corner up toward the center. Just one line left, just like that. And I'm going to build the braise off of this line here. I could either build it coming out that way or I could build it going that way. I think I'm going to build it going this way. So I'm going to put a line that's parallel to the outside pencil line and then color that in outside the flux. Then draw another line that starts from the diagonal and does this little parallel, just a little bit of space between them. I'm going to increase my space a little bit and do one more. Then I'm going to decrease the space and do another one. Then I'm going to go out to the dot. And I'm going to bring that line all the way to where it hits the flux. And I'm going to color in between. The other thing we can do is put braise in a couple of other places. On my sample here, I kind of went to that opposite corner and put some braise out there and then into some of these smaller spaces that are here. So I'm going to go out here to this other corner and do the same thing. This time, because I can't really see the middle very well, I'm going to go from the outside. So I'm going to put some braise in both of these spots. I think I'm going to add a little bit more flux to right here. All right, we're going to move on to our pencil now and do some shading. So I'm going to actually start with the shading of the braise. I'm going to pick one side of that diagonal line that the braise came off of, put some graphite on that diagonal line, kind of blend it out. The next thing is going to be adding some graphite into the flux. So I'm going to add the graphite right along kind of the center where all of the flux kind of coming out of one particular line. It's going to emphasize that line. I want to also add some graphite in places where things are looking like they're overlapping, like right here. I'm going to put some right along the outside of the munchin. We've done the gratitude step, we've done the anchor points, we've done the border line, we've done the string, which is when we divided our space. Now we've done the tangles and the shading. And there are two more steps to the Zentangle method. One is signing them, and the last one is appreciation. So if you can find a spot on your tangle that you would like to add your initials,